She is a prior top Tony Robbins coach. Jessie's a world-class speaker, high-rated coach, author, and transformational leader. She possesses an unparalleled ability to captivate audiences and guide them for success. She's fueled by a passionate knowing that you and I are wired for greatness. The feminine power within you is just waiting to be unleashed. A new life full of purpose and passion awaits, one that can only happen when we activate the strongest source inside of you, your heart. She is a wonderful, wonderful person. You are in for a treat. So Jessie grew up in California, went to Idaho, now she's back in Texas. She moved outside of Austin. So please help me welcome a fellow Texan, Jessie Torres!
So thrilled to be here, ladies, and nothing excites me more than to see this many women standing up and dancing and moving. So I just want to honor you for being here and playing full out. Are you willing to play full out with me? Yes. All right. I want to know who the most enthusiastic and excited part of the room is. So I'm going to ask this side of the room to cheer and tell me that you are ready for transformation. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, Senator Drew, can you top that? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Giving you a run. All right, this side of the room. 1, 2, 3. What do you guys think? All right, I'm here because I really want to get connected to each and every one of your hearts. And in order for me to do that, this is a co-creation. This isn't about me, it's about us. Does that make sense? And in order to do that, I want to invite and ask you that you play with me. Are you willing to play with me full out? Yes. Oh. One person, yay! Are you willing to play with me full out? Yes! Okay, fantastic. Because I'm thrilled to be here. It's an honor. And I want to ask the room, how many people here are business owners or entrepreneurs or leaders? Raise your hands. Okay. How many of you run a household? Okay. You are all leaders. Okay? You are all leaders. And the fact that you're here already tells me a ton about you. It tells me that you are looking to be the best version of you. Would you say that's correct? Yes. Okay, great. Right? And you're here because you were wanting to expand. You're wanting to look deeper. Maybe you have a dream on your heart, a call that's telling you there's something meant for me that's more than I'm currently living. And with that spark, I want to ignite a fire in you so big, because here's the deal. If we're going to make it in this lifetime, we need women leaders. Would you agree? Yes. Yes? All right. And I really want to hear you guys, because again, I want you to really connect. This is about you. Each and every one of your hearts, each and every one of your essence. We're moving out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. If you know anything about that. And what that means is that we're ready for open-hearted leadership. And if we're ready for open-hearted leadership, guess who does that the best? Women. Yes, got it. Okay, so let's get started. I want to give you guys, let's see if I can play this clicker right. There we go. My outcome for today is to change the world one empowered woman at a time, okay? And my job is to awaken the true essence and power within each and every one of you. Because my belief is that whatever it is you believe you think you need in order to succeed, in order to excel, in order to move forward in whatever it is, challenges that you might come up against, already lives within you. A lot of coaches say, ask the question, who do I need to be in order to get this outcome? It's a great question, but what it invites is that the power is outside of you, not inside of you. And I'm here to show you that whatever it is that you want to accomplish in this lifetime, you already have within. You've already shown it. Okay? Now, before I move forward, I want you guys to get connected to a little story. I want you to watch a video with me, and I'd love to just connect with it and check in. What does it conjure for you? What does it bring up? Because my outcome is to connect to the hearts, not only your hearts, but the little girl inside of you. The little girl that persevered and got through what she's been through to get to this moment right now. And if you're in this room, I know that you're wanting more. And for that, I'm super grateful. Here we go. Let's go. It's not working. Oh, there it is. I saw that video and I see, oh my God, I believe that little girl lives in each of us. The one that wouldn't quit. The one that fell down and got back up. Would you agree? Yes. How many of you have faced some heavy times? Be honest. Every hand should be up in this room. We've all had our moments, but we're here. And that's what I want to honor about each of you. Because the fact that you're here, you're looking for more, you're looking for a better version, a higher version, a part of you that you know is knocking on your heart. That little girl wouldn't quit. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. Now, I brought my own little girl in there because she's a very big part of who I am today. Being here on stage is something that I would have, as that little girl, never in my wildest dreams imagined. I was the girl in the back of the classroom peeing her pants because the teacher was about to call on her. I was terrified, I was shy, and I was scared. I grew up in an abusive home. I had sexual abuse with my father for my first 18 years of my life. And from that, I went into an 18-year marriage, my next 18 years, that was verbally, mentally, and emotionally abused. Okay? Now, before I go further, I want to express that the reason I'm sharing this with you is because today we have a lot of self-appointed coaches and gurus out there, and whatever, I hope that they're doing great things in the world. But I want to connect you to what got me here. Yes, Aliana pointed out that I was a Tony Robbins coach. I've done a lot of things, a lot of training, but nothing has taught me more than my journey. So when I shared the first 18 years, that's what I went through. I adopted the belief that I was dirty, shameful, and no one would love me. Now, I didn't label it that way. It's just how I accepted that as my truth. So then entered a man who knew that. He brought me home late one night, and he's like, so what's up with your dad? Why was he so mad? And I said, well, you brought me home late. He said, no, that was not an angry father, that was a jealous man. And from that moment on, he opened Pandora's box. And for the first time, what was happening to me was spoken about. And then he still wanted to be with me. So of course, I fell madly in love. And I'm like, oh my God, you love me with all my dirty. Let's get married. And my mom, my beautiful mom, very Catholic faith, no offense, I honor everybody's path. I told her I'm moving out with my boyfriend and I'm gonna get married. Or I'm sorry, I said I'm moving out. And she said, well, my daughter's not gonna live with a man and not be married. So I moved out Monday, I was married Friday. And I was happy. He came from a very abusive background, alcoholic mother, and he said, well, my kids will never see me drunk. And I said, well, my kids will never be molested, and we thought we fixed it. What we didn't know was the emotional trauma we were bringing into that marriage. And by the way, I honor him, I honor my father, I have nothing but love in my heart for all of my journey. I've come to a process of forgiveness and acceptance, and I believe that every part of it was meant to chisel me into the human being that I am today, where I get to speak to you and connect to that beautiful soul, that heart, that child, that little girl in you, to help you recognize that it doesn't matter what happened to you, because what happened to you woke up a little girl that is here today wanting. She's a part of my journey. Now, at 28 years old, my older brother, who was my only safety growing up, was tragically murdered. And it's one of those things that you think you read in the paper, right? It doesn't happen to you. And it happened. It was a silly love affair thing. A girl he had just recently dated. He didn't know that she was engaged prior. And he was not happy with her new relationship. My brother, the Good Samaritan, offered to give her a ride, and he shot her. So you can imagine all of these things. At the age of 38, I was at the point in my marriage, now 18 and a half years in, where I was a physical body walking. I didn't want to live. I didn't take my own life because I had 3 children. I have twin sons and a daughter. And they were the ones that kept me alive because I didn't want to do that to them. But I was praying that somebody would blow that red light, because then I could be done. Because if this was life, then I didn't want to live it. And then I was wishing, well, maybe if he goes on a business trip, the plane would crash and I could be a widow, and that would be okay. And then I had shame and guilt around that. What a horrible person I was to me. So from that aspect, I came to a point in time where kindness actually woke me up. An act of kindness got me to recognize that whatever this feeling is, I don't even know how to label it, life is worth living. And it gave me the courage to get out of my situation. But guess what? At that point, I didn't know who I was. Like, who am I? I was the peacekeeper. I was navigating because my ex-husband was very explosive, very verbally abusive and emotionally abusive, and I was kind of dodging between him and my children. And so I'm 38, I'm like, I had to buy a Thomas guy just to get out of my city. That's how kept I was. MapQuest was just starting. And I was terrified of everything. And what I knew somehow, subconsciously, because I was in that survival mode, that I was going to have to do something because I had 3 kids dependent on me, and now I'm on my own. And I was making $8 an hour, by the way, at that point. So I knew that I had to face whatever fears I had, and I had to step into the challenges. And I put myself in situations that were, if I was scared, I was a yes to it. If I was a yes to it, then I knew that I could move through those edges and I could make sure that I took care of my family. From that stage, I had an insatiable hunger to understand humanity. I'm like, how did I get here? At 38 years old, I don't even know who I am. So I started reading. I would never read before. One of the books that I got, the very first one, was The Unmistakable Touch of Grace by Cheryl Richardson. And in that, I don't even remember the exact words, but I thought, oh my God, you mean I can believe differently than what I believe right now? There's another opportunity. I could have a different life. Wow. And then I went to seminars and workshops, I went to therapy. Anything I could get my hands on, because I wanted to understand. I wanted to know why my dad did what he did, why my mom ignored it when I tried to tell her at 16, why my husband did what he did, and why I allowed it. And from that led me to a life of wanting to serve others. I started to have conversations around what happened at lunch, because I was in corporate for 15 and a half years. Go to lunch and I'm sharing part of my story. I don't even know what I shared. But she said, she goes, can I write that down? I'm like, I don't even know what I said. She goes, where do I make my $10 copay? And I walked away from that lunch more inspired than her, because I thought, wow, something in my path opened her heart to believe that she can have better. And I was hooked. So then I went on a quest, on a path. I told my therapist, I want to do what you do, but that's a lot of school and that's a lot of time. And she said, you could be a coach. And I thought, soccer coach? What are you talking about? I don't understand. This was back in 2005, and it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. So I looked into it, and I said, yes, I want to do this. I want to help people. And so I got certified, but I was still working 10-hour days in corporate, and I was trying to build my business. So it came to that moment where I'm like, okay, I have to do something. I'm trying to grow a practice. And back then you saw people one-on-one, more so than you do virtual. And so I'm like trying to navigate 10-hour work days in corporate and trying to build a business. And I got to that moment where I'm like, I have to do something. My cousin had tickets to a Tony Robbins event. And I'm like, sure, I'll go. And of course it woke up something big in me, and I thought, well, if I want to be a coach, I want to be a coach with the greatest coaching company in the world. And so it made my way to Tony Robbins. Now, Tony Robbins, you can imagine, they received thousands of resumes, and I had put one in, and I was going to the events, and I would say, gosh, nobody's getting a hold of me. And the guys would say, just keep trying, and I'm like, I don't want to be a pest. But I knew that I wanted to be a part of that team. So Business Mastery was one of the big events that he does for business. I'm like, well, this will help me. But it was a $10,000 event. And I'm like, the sales guy told me $10,000, I almost threw up my coffee. I'm like, you're out of your mind. I'm coming upside down from a bad marriage. He foreclosed the house, he repoed the cars, he did everything to wreck my life. And I'm like, $10,000, you're crazy. But he connected with me and he said, if you want to change the world, this is the place you want to be. And from that moment on, I was like, well, I don't have $10,000. He's like, can I help you find it? And at that point, I did not even know I didn't think about my 401k, 15 years working in corporate. I'm like, oh, I could do that? Turned to my 401k, I think I borrowed some money from my mom, and I had these little, like, $300 credit cards because I was trying to rebuild my credit. And I went. But here's the thing. I could not afford a hotel room at the Bellagio. I'm like, okay, I can't. So I told the sales guy, you gotta help me find a place to stay. And he says, okay, I'll get on it. So I was thinking, what can I do? At that point, I lived in California, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to make sure that I get there. And I started getting resourceful. And I thought, well, I could drive to Vegas, I could sleep in my car, and I downloaded a week pass of the 24-hour fitness. And I was gonna shower at the gym and sleep in my car. And so I share this with you because that resilience, that perseverance, when I knew I had a goal, I wanted to go after it, and I was gonna make it happen no matter what. And I believed it would change my life, and it did. And it wasn't the event, it was that I got there and I met the director of coaching. And from that moment on, I again, freaking out, he's standing there, and I'm like, looking for his name badge. I couldn't even remember his name fully. It was marked on something. I'm like, God, I don't know if this guy's got a room of 10,000 people, how am I gonna find him? I thought, okay, I need to have lunch, but I can't afford lunch at the Bellagio. So I'm walking to this little cafe, $10 salad, and I'm like, okay, cool. I get in there, and there's this group of people talking, and they're talking about the event, and I'm listening, I'm looking at the name badge, and I'm like, oh my God, there he is. And I'm freaking out, and I'm like, okay, Jesse, I'm at a Tony Robbins event, so I'm like, step up, you know, get in there. And so I did, I interrupted the conversation, I introduced myself, and I said, hi, I'm Jesse Torres. I sent you my resume, sorry to interrupt. And he's like, I remember, you speak Spanish, don't you? I said, yes, I do. We talked for 20 minutes, and the last thing he said to me was, I will call you. And he did. So why am I sharing with you? Because I believe that no matter what you've been through, there's a part of you, a deeper resolve, a courage that you haven't met yet. And in those moments, when you set the target, when you have a goal, when you have a desire, when you have a purpose in your life, you will do whatever it takes. Do you agree? Yeah, celebrate that about yourself. Now, furthermore, there's obviously more information. What I do is I really do lead with heart. I'm a transformational coach, and that is my main purpose, is to ensure that you are healing. Part of what we're doing now in society, as we have so many coaches coming out, we're always about mindset. We're always about affirmations. We're always about thinking positive and doing these things, which again are powerful tools. But what I believe is that we are mindsetting our way out of healing. And what happens is we start to install new software on an old operating system. What's going to happen? What? It's going to glitch, right? It's going to freeze. It's not going to work. We're not resolving the core issue. And this isn't about therapy. We're not going back to trauma. But we are going to face what is it that got us to this place, okay? Out of the Tony Robbins world and other coaching companies, I was ranked at #1 in the coaching arena to be able to transform people's lives. I also now teach sales, and that's a big part of what I love to do because I hated sales. Sales was a 34-letter word to me. But now I teach a heart-driven approach because my mentor taught me that it isn't about selling, it's about serving. And from that place, I love being able to do that. Move on. So I mentioned the corporate arena. I worked as account executive for a brokerage firm, and I sold insurance. And what happened is I was at that place where I was working 10-hour days. How many people here are in corporate? Yeah. Sometimes they start to, you think that doing more is what's important. If I give more, then I'll do better. And what happens is we exhaust ourselves, right? I got to the point where clumps of hair were falling out in the shower. I was having heart palpitations. I went to the doctor, had the 24-hour monitor, and I said, yes, you're having heart palpitations. We can give you beta blockers to help with that. They knew it was stress-induced, and I said, wait a minute. So stress got me heart issues. I have to take a pill for the rest of my life and keep my stress. I don't think I want to sign up for that. I never took the pill, and I started to decide that if I was going to change the world, I needed to do it. I needed to burn my boats to do it. So I left the corporate arena and I went all in. Scary? Heck yes. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't think about the how in that moment. I just knew I had to do something different. I didn't want to continue to exhaust myself and have things fall apart while I was trying to really affect change in the world. So some of the things that I've noticed after coaching so many tens of thousands of people is that a lot of them were women. And some of the things women face are massive overwhelm. How many here have felt overwhelmed? And what do we mean by that? We're constantly saying yes when we mean no. We're constantly giving to everybody. Everybody comes first before us. And although I appreciate your heart and I appreciate your desire to love and give, it shouldn't be in spite of you. That overwhelm feels like a ton of bricks on your shoulders. Lack of self-confidence, right? We start to believe like, who am I to go for that promotion? Who am I? Gosh, I see the position and I know I could do it better, but who am I to think that I would be chosen? So we have to increase our confidence. And I would love it. Is there a timer? Because I need to be checked in. Yes? How much time do I have? let me know, because I'll keep talking. Okay? You'll let me know? Yeah, okay. All right, what's our next one here? I cannot see that far away. Short-tempered, impatient. All of a sudden we're snapping at our kids. The ones that we say yes to, we're just like feeling resentful. And we don't even know why, and then we feel guilty over feeling resentful. But it's because we're taking so much on, and we can't stack it all. So then we start to get frustrated, we're exhausted, we're tired. But our inner world is telling us, you know what, you can do it. Because you know what, ladies, we can. We can. We can do it all. But should we have to? And I think for high-achieving women like you guys, you know, it's like we have this thing about asking for help. But my mom is my greatest teacher, let me tell you. She couldn't even receive, when I got to that point where I'm like, okay, I want to take care of my mom now. She's been there for me my whole life. Take her to a dinner, I'm like, Mom, get anything on the menu. She's like, these are $50 plates. It's like, you order, I'll eat off your plate. And I'm like, no, I want you to get whatever you want. She's like, no, it's too expensive. I eat like a bird. I'm like, Mom, I want to give to you. She could not receive from me. And I said, is it hard for you to receive? And she said, oh yeah, I don't take it from anybody that, you know, she's had her pain. And I'm like, but I'm your daughter. And I'm really wanting to give to you. So I share that because I think that's in all of us. We're like, oh, no, I got it. No. I can take care of it. And you can, but it starts to show up in other ways, other coping mechanisms. You know, we're either Netflixing, overeating, we're, you know, over loving our children sometimes. That codependency creates because, well, that's certain love. They're gonna love me no matter what. So let me get my fix there. And we don't realize it. Sometimes it's invisible. And that's what we're gonna talk about today. You can also withdraw. For me, I don't go to anger, I go to sadness, or I go inward and I shut down. So there's different ways, coping mechanisms that we have. For some, we are extroverted, for some, we're introverted. Neither one is worse than the other, they're both bad. And that withdrawing and that isolation is really, really internally hard. Then we have a fear of success or failure. What if I do accomplish my dreams? Oh, that's kind of scary, that's edgy for me. Or we're afraid that we won't make it, we won't cut it, and so we never launch. Share with you a story of Becky. Right, so I had a quote there of hers. She had to compete with last year's version of herself, okay? Now she's a woman that on paper, on Facebook, she rocks it. She's got an amazing body, she's successful, she had hit her $5 million mark on her business. And she was super excited about that. But here's the thing, she was in mass suffering and her husband was this close to leaving her. She had 2 young boys and she would go to the soccer game, but she would not be present. She was on her phone 24/7. And she didn't understand. Looking on the outside, she looked like she had it all figured out. Body was amazing, life looked amazing, but she was dying inside. And when we started to work together, we started to realize, we started to unpack, what is it that is causing her to be this way? And it all came down to a moment when she was 10 years old. And a friend of the family, she couldn't even remember who the person was. It was a friend of the family told her she'll never be as good as her sister or as thin as her sister. And that stuck in her head like a microchip in our unconscious conditioning. So from that moment on, she not only competed with her sister, who was in the same business, by the way, she competed with every other woman, and she competed with herself, the version of her last year. So if she hit a threshold last year, she had to supersede it the next year, or she would go into massive depression, massive fear. And now she was pushing so hard that she was about ready to lose her husband and her family. Once she realized that, she started to come back to herself, her center, and she started to recognize what was really important and the success, and she was chasing her worthiness, her ability to be enough on the achievement. And that's where we suffer. So some of the beliefs that are adopted when you do that, the overuse of masculine. That's a big one right now in society. Ladies, here's the thing. I am so proud of us because we decided that we were going to prove we could do it just as good as men. Yes? Yes, right? And we did. And we can. But do we really want to? What's happened is we're in that state of hypervigilance and we're so at the ready, right? Because it's like, don't bring emotions to the corporate room. I disagree with that. Don't bring wounded emotions to the corporate room. healed woman, a woman that regulates her emotions, trust me when I tell you, this life, your business, your position, whatever it is you're doing, it is a human game. Would you agree? Every client, every employee, every team member, this is about people. Guess who, with emotional regulation and love, does it the best? Who? Women. Because love is our innate nature. Now, our love is innate for all of us, men and women. But for women, it's how we live. We drive from emotion. So when we're able to have that regulation, we can supersede all of our expectations and our goals. But not if we're overusing our masculine and we're showing up in that state of like hyper-vigilance, ready for the fight. Because I'll tell you, if you walk into a corporate room of 20 men, in your flow, in your feminine, you will buckle every pin piece. And what we're forgetting is that we think there's power in being masculine, which there is, but if it's not your core essence, you're missing the greatest source of your power, which is your feminine. Think about it. Anybody that you know of that you look up to, or that you think is great, came from a woman. We are the creators, but we're missing the boat if we're believing that we have to show up as a version of ourselves that isn't our core essence. Now, we all have masculine, which is beautiful. That's that part that gets us up in the morning, that gets the kids out the door, that gets the mission accomplished, which is fantastic. But the outcome here is to create a balance. Where your power is in the flow of both. Another belief was, oh, I just need to push harder. Like me, like, okay, I'm there 8 hours, well, let me stay overtime so that I can, finish the job. And then, guess what? The boss asked for more. Now come in on Saturdays. Because no matter what, they'll keep asking for more if you keep giving it. So now I'm working till 8 o'clock at night, start at 8, leave at 8, and come home, or come on Saturdays till 2 in the afternoon. Push harder, you'll get further. Not the answer. The next one, juggle more. Oh no, I'll take it on. Oh, I'll bake the cookies for the class. I'll stay up till 1 in the morning. Because I don't want to be store-bought, I don't want to be that mom. And we start to juggle more and more and we take it on and we shouldn't have to. If I don't do it, the kingdom will fall. How many here think that? If I don't do it, it's just fall apart. Yes, me, right? All on your shoulders. Why? Why? We need the ability to be able to ask for help. And not from a state of masculine, hey, do this. It's just like, please, this is our family. This is our team. We work together. And part of the reason I'm super excited to be here is because sisters, if we're going to change the world, we must go arm in arm. We must hold each other up. I think oftentimes women tear each other down. And that's not what this is about. But if you're going to learn to grow and to be the best version of you, we have to help each other out. You're not meant to go it alone. And the last one, it's easier if I just do it. How many here have said that before? Right? Yeah. It's like, oh, it'll take me too long to explain. I'll just do it. And then we say yes again. So, here's the 5 things that women lacked. More and more that I coach, I'm always like an observer. I'm like a student with every client. Like, what's going on? I'm assessing the situation. And one of the biggest things that I saw when women weren't reaching their goals is they did not have a millionaire mindset. Now, a big part of that is culture. My family, too. I mean, my mom still, I took her to feed the homeless one time during Thanksgiving, and when it was all over, God bless my mother, we're leaving and they have extra food. So the people said, the nonprofit, they're like, hey, take whatever you need. And she is stacking the canned foods like crazy. And I'm like, Mom, it's okay, we have food. Well, no, for the kids. And she's just packing it in. It's her mindset that there's not enough. That there's not enough and you gotta grab the freebies and just stack. And I didn't even realize that my own scarcity was coming from my own belief that there's never enough. When I was a kid, that was the thing. Can I have that? No, we don't have enough money. We don't have enough money. And it was ingrained in me. I didn't know how to think like a millionaire. Being a millionaire is just like, ooh, that's way over there in somebody else's life, not mine. It doesn't have to be that way. You can have whatever it is you want. If you want $1 million, if you want $1 billion, you can have it. We just have to own the belief. And sometimes that means tearing out old beliefs. Emotional mastery. This is another one. Some of us, a lot of us, we carry shame and guilt. They go hand in hand. Did you know I call it a cosmic joke? Shame, what is it? Who made it up? Who said that you're supposed to be ashamed of yourself because of something? We put it on ourselves, and we don't realize it, because we want to give so much that the minute we don't, we feel like we're not good enough. Belief in your own value and worth. You know, even coming up here, like I told you, I was a little girl in the back of the classroom peeing her pants. I didn't think I had value. I didn't think I had worth enough to give somebody else something that they could walk away with and be inspired. I was just a little girl born of 2 Peruvian immigrants. I don't have a voice. But it was in those moments where I was down and down, like really down, that I felt God or the universe presence, whatever your belief is, come to me and tell me, you need to speak, you need to write, you need to express. Everything you say is me through you. Let me. And I was like, I felt like a reprimanded child, like, oh my God, I've been getting in my own way. Because I was thinking, who am I? Who am I to speak? Who am I to express these things to people? Who will get value from what I have to say? But ladies, I'm no different than you. You all have that voice. My hunch is that you've spoken maybe at lunch to somebody else and you've made them feel better. Would you agree? Everybody in this room should have their hand up. Would you agree that you at some point have made somebody feel better? Right? It's your loving nature. It's who you are. So you have it within you. Each and every one of you has a voice. And we want to hear it. Especially in a room like this where it's a group of sisters wanting to be the best versions of themselves. Let's freaking go arm in arm. And believe that your voice matters. They also lack a system of support, which is what I'm talking about here, right? We need a system of support. We need each other. We are not meant to go it alone, but in the world of trying to prove that we can do it all, we start to believe that we're the only ones that can do it, and we don't ask for help, and we exhaust. And the last one here, proven systems and strategies, which is also important. And my little explanation here, it says this is Elena. And she was a client of mine who literally said she vomited her way to being a millionaire. Why is that? Because she was terrified. She was a Russian immigrant and her family came from poverty. Nobody in her family had ever made money past high school, had education of high school only, and she never thought she could do it. What she was told was she couldn't have a child. She was told that her hormones were so out of balance that she couldn't have children. She was devastated. But what she did is she went on a mass study. She learned about her hormones, and she has a beautiful little girl. Now she wanted to teach other women. She wanted to teach them that you don't have to believe what the doctor said, and you can have children if you want. But she was terrified. She had a purpose on her heart, but she did not know how to do it. She didn't believe she could. Who was she to do it? When she came to the coaching, consistently coached her, got her back on track, got her back on purpose, and so she said, every time I asked her to do something, she wanted to throw up. She told me to write this email. Oh my God, throw up. Did it. So she said, I vomited my way to being a millionaire. She made 5 to 6 figures a month, ladies, helping other women transform their hormones. That's how valuable it is that we get this, because this is available to each and every one of you. Here's what they didn't know. They didn't know the 3 hidden pillars. These pillars are what limits us. And it's invisible oftentimes. We don't know. Number 1 is undiagnosed trauma. We don't know. We know real trauma, rape, and for me, molestation. We know that, but we don't understand the hidden, undiagnosed traumas, which I'll get into in a minute. Then there's unacknowledged trauma, and then there's unresolved trauma. Now, the unacknowledged trauma is very interesting. This is like my husband and I, right? When we got married, 18 and 21, he knew his trauma. Well, my mom was an alcoholic and she was brutal. I knew my trauma. Well, my dad molested me, so. And we thought, we'll have a white picket fence, we'll have the dog and the cat, we'll have the kids, and we'll do it. And for the most part, we did. But the emotional trauma, I didn't know that I owned a belief that I was not worthy. I didn't know that I owned a belief that I was not enough or I was dirty. He didn't know that he considered himself a loser because that's what his mom called him every day. We don't know to know. So I have a new definition for trauma. I'm going to move through here real quickly. Trauma is whatever the child made meaning of in the moment of the experience. or the moment you lost safety? How many here can identify the moment that they lost safety when they were a child? Okay, some of you. Good. Some of you may not recognize the exact moment, but for women, it's a big deal. I went to this event and this speaker, it was a room of about 300 women, and he asked the question, if God took every man out of this world right now, what's the first thing you would do as women? And one of the ladies raised her hand and she said, I'd go jogging at 11 o'clock at night. Right? We have to think about that. Men don't, at least some do, but. And so we are constantly assessing safety, which calls our masculine forward to protect and defend, and so we get out of balance and we get confused. Now, my daughter. This is my daughter, Shayna. She's my muse. We have what we call car portal conversations. Right? We go on drive road trips or whatever, and there's just something that happens in that chamber where this huge conversations happen, and we were both talking about moments when we lost safety. Times where inappropriateness happened. I had different situations. My after-school teacher, after graduation from high school into college, who was inappropriate, give me rights, and put his hand on my knee. Or my boss who said, take me to the meetings as an account executive and said, hey Jess, there's a hotel room right there, we have time. And I was scared and I did not have words back then, and I'm just like, and I didn't know what to say. Over and over and over again. Different situations where you feel that unsafety. How many people here have experienced something similar to that? Be honest. Yeah. Please look around. Raise your hand up high. Take a look around. Okay, I'm going to ask you all to stand up for a second. Stand up. Come on, get the energy in the room. I want you to see the ladies that are raising their hand. Okay? Each and every one of us has gone through something where we felt uncomfortable. And I'd love for you to take a look at the girl next to you and please give her a hug and tell her, I got you, girl. Come on, let's do it. There you go, there you go. Beautiful. Thank you, ladies. Here's what's great. Like you guys hesitated to stand up, but the minute I said hug a sister, you all went right in. I just love that. I love the power of women. So one of the things that we do is we build heart armor, what I call heart armor, around our hearts. And we start to protect ourselves. And it's time that we break those walls down so that we can be the best version of ourselves. Now I'm going to move through real quick because my time is up. We weren't taught. It's not your fault. Okay? We were taught to look at these things, but each and every one of you has been through your dark night of the soul. What if your true power was never achieved? What if your dream was on the back burner, never accomplished? Waiting for someday. Last time I checked, ladies, someday is not on the calendar. So it's important that you choose you, that you chose your dream, that you choose your leadership qualities. I'll share the stories, my time is up, but unlocking leadership qualities, self-confidence, decide, commit to you. Decide, commit to your goal. Where are you going? What do you want? Bring resilience, bring resourcefulness. I promise you have it within you. You've been through stuff. Right? Pave a new path. If it isn't there, you don't know the how, create it. And take action. To wrap up, this picture, that's my older brother and my little brother. What I didn't tell you is that my little brother was 15. This was the picture right before my older brother was killed. My little brother was 15, he idolized my older brother. And when he passed away, my little brother looked for an older brother and every man he could get his hands on. He joined gangs, was in and out of prison for years. And as of 2 years ago, next month, my little brother was murdered. And I thought, well, God, if both my brothers are meant to be taken, what do you want with me? And my outcome is to be here to awaken the power within each and every one of you. To recognize that no matter what happens to you, because without the tools, without the things I've learned, I could not have gotten through that second part. I thought, I already checked the box, I already lost a brother. I'm not losing another one, how could this be? But if I did not have done the work that I've done to get to where I am, I would not have survived it. And I know it's within each and every one of you. So make the choice, decide today that you will choose you will choose your dream, and you will never let anything, any belief, or anyone tell you you can't have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Are you looking at everybody standing up? We've got people standing up. Baby, come back. Come back. Thank you. Well, do you want to go back on stage this way? Okay.